Hello everybody. So this is the card that I'm going to show you how to make. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the technique on how to make this. It takes a little bit longer than 20 or 10 minutes to get this card put together. So it's the technique I'm going to show you, what I did with this. You get those scrap pieces of rubber that you've cut apart off of your stamps images when you get them. So what I've done is taken them and added them to a block of wood. So I've cut all the pieces out and stuck them on this. Now what this was is I had from a couple of years ago a celebration stamp set and it was a big flower on it. So I decided I'd use it more this way. So that's what I did, is I just cut them all up and stuck them on there. So what I've done is I've put through a piece of Whisper White through my Big Shot for the top note and a piece of Rose Red. Then what I did with the Whisper White one is I took my scissors and I cut along that perforated edge. And then I took my sanding block and I sanded it off the edges. Next, what I did is I colored the image. So now we're going to get busy with our technique from that. I'm going to take this and I am going to take my Versamark and grab the clean one. So I'm going to need that to stamp my image. And I'm also going to take my embossing buddy. And the embossing buddy is great because then your embossing powder is only going to stick to the places you want it to stick, whereas the Versamark is going to be too. So I'm just going to rub it across with my powder. And if you don't think you're getting enough, just drop it right in the center of it and that'll give you more powder. So now I'm taking my Versamark and I'm just going to stamp up my image. Now, I know with this size, I only need a part of my image, so I don't have to go the whole part. Also, I want to take a look at it and figure out which part of it I actually want to Versamark up. I think I'm going to do this here, half of it. Now you want to make sure it is Versamarked very well. Because you want to make sure that your powder has a good area to grab onto. There we go. So now I'm going to put my piece of cardstock down, take my stamp, and got it. And you need to put a lot of pressure on here because you don't want to miss any of the areas. And it's going to stick to this. I'll peel that off. And I think I've got fairly good coverage. So I'm going to take my Powder Pal, which is this little tray here. And it's great because it catches all your powder and then you can pour it back in really easy. And I'm going to dump my powder over top of my cardstock. I'll just lift that up. And I'm just going to give it a shake. I want to make sure everything is covered. There we go. Next, what I'm going to do is grab my heat gun, but I'm going to grab my scissors as well. And hopefully you can see, I'm just going to bring this in a little bit closer. Closer than I want it. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is hold it down with my scissors in an area where I don't have powder. And I found an area right there. I'm going to heat that up. And I'm going to start on the flowers just so you can see the change. Now I don't move my gun around a lot. I find you get more warping to your paper, so I just hold it still about an inch off, or not an inch, half an inch off the paper. And now you can see the color starting to change there. And I'm just going to move that around. And I'm going to finish the whole image and then let it cool down, and we'll go on to our next step then. Okay, next what I'm going to do with my image, now that it's all shiny and everything's been melted, is I'm going to take some basic gray ink. I'm going to rub that right onto my image. I want to make sure all the little crevices in between the embossing powder gets filled in. And now that I've got it all covered in, I'm just going to take a serviette here and I'm going to rub it off. And the interesting thing about when you do this is you're actually worked with Whisper White cardstock. But once you do the basic gray and you look at it, you'd swear you had used that very vanilla. So just make sure and get it all up as much as possible. The longer you leave it sit on there, the more the embossing powder will grab some of that ink. And there we go. There's a really cool technique. Isn't that great? Okay, so now all I'm going to do is, let's back it up just a little bit. Put this over with some whiter paper. I am going to take my rose red cardstock and now my Whisper White that's been colored. And this is where I really like to use the liquid glue because it'll give me some sliding room. Once I get it down, I can play with it a bit. And I just put a fine stream of glue all the way around it, a little bit through the center. And then I'm going to lay that down. Take my image, just slide it in so it ends up where that perforated edge is. And because I'm using this glue, I can slide it around until I know where I want it. Then I'm just going to put pressure over the whole thing so that it sticks down. Hold it down for a few seconds. That's all it really takes. And once it's grabbed on, we are good to go. And there's my image. So all I did then is I took a piece of very vanilla. This is just Mellow Moss. This is just a sample. And using my stamp set, or my stamp that I created myself. This time I stamped it with the don't know why I keep saying very vanilla, the Mellow Moss on Mellow Moss, and that's what I used for the background image here to my card. So I mounted my Whisper White top note that's been embossed on, put it on the rose red, on top of a piece of Mellow Moss, and put that on top of Always Artichoke, typed a ribbon around it, used my teeny tiny wishes on the window punch, and then the modern label punch to go with it. And that is my finished project on my card, and I hope you really liked this technique. Let's just put that in there for a close-up for you so you get a good look at it. And have fun playing with this one.